When I'm visiting with someone, if we begin to talk about faith issues, if I say something about Christ and the call to believe in Christ specifically, one of the objections that comes out most often is that, well, all religions are the same, so why would there be any reason to believe in one as compared to another? How can you say there's a call and a need to believe in Jesus? They're all the same. And if you think about that, you recognize there's some truth in that. There's a reason people say that. They're not stupid. There are some similarities, and so it bears reflection. And recently, I was in a conversation with a young mother that I thought showed some. It became a good analogy, I think, to look at that argument. Though I'd come up to the young mom. She's carrying a 5-month-old baby, and I say, hey, and the baby up and high fives me, so that was pretty cool. And we did that about 6 times. She's high fiving me, and I thought that was amazing. And then so we started talking about the child's development, and the mom was telling me already at 6 months, whatever it was, she's trying to teach the baby to distinguish between shapes and colors and that kind of thing. And that can be quite daunting if you think about all that a baby has to learn to assimilate in such a short time. And even just distinguishing between a circle and a square and a star, if they're all the same color, can be very difficult. The same texture, that's got to be a very difficult task. And so I thought there's a similarity in that whole thing, though, to learning to distinguish and see whether all the religious communities in the world are actually indeed the same. We know that there are similarities, and that's why this objection comes. Of course, there is a God of some kind, a God who created, a God who has established a code of conduct. Certain things are good, certain things are not good. There are rituals that go along with most religious communities. So there are similarities, and that's what goes on. But to say that because there are similarities, to say that all religions are the same is about like saying all the things here on the floor, these kids' toys before me on the floor here, are the same. They're all various colors, shades of green. You can play with them, you can stack them, they're about the same size, they're in the same room, and so on. And but does that mean that they're all the same, or basically the same? There's no real difference because they have these similarities. Well, I think you can recognize right away, if you can tell what's here, you can tell that's not true. There are similarities, but there's also a huge difference that will come up if you actually study these things. They're all, there's lots of similarities, but there's also huge differences. All of these are clearly man-made. They're very hard. You can see how they've been made. This one here is not man-made. That's a big difference. This one grew. There's another difference. This one you can eat. And as a matter of fact, you need to eat these green ones. Not these particularly, but green plants that grew. You need to eat them. You can't live without them. Without them, you will die. These, you don't want to eat it. Not good for you. Matter of fact, it could kill you. So, there are similarities, but they're fundamentally different. And this is not a proof, that Christ is true. I recognize that. But it shows the fallacy of the argument that they're all the same. There are similarities, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they're all basically the same. There could still be a fundamental difference. And really, but if you want to talk about proof, then of course that's a little different story. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. So the proof will be in the eating. And I'm not afraid, to call people to taste and see, to test the Lord, to see if they do not come to the knowledge of the truth. Jesus said in John 7, he said, if anyone wills to do God's will, he will know that the Father sent me. And that has been my experience, and it is the experience of so many. So really, what I'm trying to encourage people to do is not easily just push it aside and say, hey, they all look alike. When you get to look into it a little bit more, when you look into it a little bit more deeply, when you actually taste, you will see that they are not the same by any means.